Hey everybody, Shoebox Legends here. Thanks for joining me today for a quick episode to look at a couple of recent Wayne Gretzky pickups that I've made for the collection. I do enjoy collecting the great one, number 99, arguably the greatest player in the history of professional hockey, certainly top 5 or top 3 on anyone's list, and have been fortunate enough to add a couple of different Gretzky cards. Nothing crazy, but a couple of different pickups in the past few weeks, and thought I would show them here on the channel today. I kind of collect Wayne off and on. I get into a lot of different things and I have trouble focusing. So I don't, super collect any one player, but obviously, trying to get the greats of the game in my collection, you can't avoid Gretzky on the hockey side of the house. And so I do, over the years, I've tried to form a well-rounded Gretzky collection. And there's kind of two ways that I go about collecting his stuff. And the card on the left is an example of the first. This is a beautiful card that I've shown before. It's probably been a while, but did like a top 9 cards of number 99 episode. It might have actually been episode 99 on my channel, and showed this really nice Dufex Gold Team Gretzky. So these are the types of cards I like from the 90s. I like to search for kind of interesting, shiny, crazy inserts, because that, to me, that's what the 90s was known for. In fact, this card even has a Dufex back, which is pretty wild. You don't see that too often. And then I also like to collect his, I guess, I don't know if you'd call them vintage, but his 80s and early 90s cards in graded form from, Topps and O-Pee-Chee and the like. And today I have an example of each of those that I've picked up. So we'll start with the Modern Shine, since we saw that Gold Team card there. And this is an insert that was in the first ever Topps Finest hockey release, and it's called Ringleaders. And baseball card collectors may recognize this insert theme from the baseball side of the house. These were included in Topps Stadium Club Baseball, I think in the mid-90s as well. But here in the realm of hockey, this was in the 94-95 Finest release, which was the first Topps Finest hockey set. And you can see the amazing foil work here in the background behind Wayne. The lighting is actually doing this one pretty well here today. But these are gorgeous. And this is an insert that I've always known about and never really prioritized until recently. But, again, trying to make an effort to grab some of the more distinctive and obnoxiously shiny 90s cards. This one was kind of essential on the list. I did bust open one box of 94 Finest hockey when I got back into collecting. Man, it must have been 10 or 12 years ago that I opened that box. Pulled one Ringleaders card, but I think it might have been like Bill Ranford or somebody along those lines. Never did get the Gretzky, and recently found a seller that had a really nice looking copy of that. That card is really tough condition-wise. I think because of the material, the foil material that's used on the front of this. It's very prone to chipping. You can see on this copy, like along the upper edge here, there's a tiny bit of chipping right above like the A and Y in Wayne, but not very noticeable. And this is actually one of the better condition examples I could see out there on eBay. And I got this for, I think, about $22. So not too shabby, and just nice to cross that one off the list. And then, as I mentioned, aside from the early or mid or really just any time in the 90s shine, I am trying to put together a graded card run of Gretzky, starting with his 79-80 rookie and proceeding through, I'd say, kind of the early 90s, maybe 92, around when Topps and O-Pee-Chee stopped using the standard, traditional cardboard stock. And this is going to tie in. You may have been asking yourself, during this video, what that Nolan Ryan card is doing out there. But it's actually a trio of pickups here that I made of Wayne Gretzky that, in my mind, I've always kind of linked to that Nolan Ryan. So that Ryan, if you don't recognize it, here with the Mets, is from the 90 Topps release, 90 Topps Baseball. That was the first set that I ever opened packs of. And one of the reasons that I became a Nolan Ryan fan as a kid was because there was a 4-card subset at the beginning of that checklist that paid tribute to Nolan, reaching 5,000 career strikeouts. So they issued cards of him. It's cards number 2 through 5 on the 90 Topps checklist. And they show him with each franchise that he played for at that point in his career. So we had the Mets, On card number 2, the Angels, of course, were next. Card number 3. Card number 4 was the Houston Astros, who he spent the bulk of the 80s with. And then the last of the 4 cards, number 5 on the checklist, was the Texas Rangers waving the cap card. And so to me, growing up, those cards were always like really magical. I just thought, obviously as a 7-year-old kid in the summer of 1990, I was, very new to the hobby, but it didn't take a rocket scientist to recognize that anyone who would be featured on no less than, 5 consecutive cards, because his base card was number 1 in the set as well, to kick off a Topps baseball set had to be a big deal. So I kind of became a Nolan Ryan fan initially based on that subset, as silly as that seems. And in the same year, the 1990 O-Pee-Chee and Topps set, they did something similar, not exactly the same, but similar for Wayne Gretzky on the hockey front. And so I've always kind of linked those together in my mind. And in Gretzky's case, it was a 3-card subset, and it paid tribute to him breaking the career point record for the NHL the season prior in the 89-90 season. So card number 1 on the checklist, and I recently won all 3 of these in matching PSA 9 slabs. So that's the reason I broke out this trio today and those Nolan Ryan cards. But here is the very first card, and it features him with the Indianapolis Racers of the WHA. So that's a photo that you don't see every day. And the story there, I'll try to keep it brief, but Gretzky played the first season of his professional career in the WHA because the NHL had a rule at the time that you couldn't play in the league if you were under 20 years old. And so, Gretzky was not yet old enough to qualify to play in the NHL, so he began his career and played his first professional season in the rival league, the WHA. So it is crazy to think about, as amazing as his statistics were when he hung up the skates, that he actually missed probably a season or 2 compared to, the age that some of these really bright, young, high draft picks start at nowadays. Certainly missed at least 1 season anyway, and was very successful that season in the WHA. So you have to wonder, could he have reached 3,000 career points if he had just started right in the NHL? We'll never know, but that's a cool one there. And this one, obviously, these have like a newspaper theme to them, and this is celebrating, him being the number 1 draft pick, I believe. The league's all-time scorer, leading point scorer. So yeah, all 3 of these talk about him becoming the league's, leading point scorer. That's the theme of all these, but the photos differ based on, where he was at in his career. So the first one, Indianapolis Racers. Second one, number 2 on the checklist, Edmonton Oilers. And this one has a cool headline because obviously Gretzky had been traded to the LA Kings famously prior to breaking the record, yet broke the record in Edmonton on the road with the Kings in front of his former hometown crowd. So pretty cool there. And this one talks about that. And you have a nice shot of Wayne leaning in for the faceoff. And then, as I said, this was just a 3-card subset. He would later go on to play briefly with the St. Louis Blues and then with the New York Rangers. But at this point in his career, at least in the NHL, he had played only with the Edmonton Oilers and the LA Kings. So here's the 3rd and final card in the subset, card number 3 on the 90 O-Pee-Chee checklist. Crowning Glory is the headline here, and we have the later career shot of Wayne sporting the black and silver of the LA Kings at the time, and just pretty neat. So, this guy was just a total beast. I think he won 9 MVPs and 10 scoring titles or something like that. He has more assists than anyone else has career points in history, and has just about every record in the book, it seems like. And so he's someone that I enjoy collecting. I don't know too many people who aren't Gretzky fans. Some players like Crosby and Lemieux and even Ovechkin can be a little bit polarizing. Most people seem to agree that, Gretzky and Howe are just amazing players, and you don't hear a lot of their detractors in the hobby or just in the world of sports in general. So awesome player, and just wanted to take this chance to show off some of my new pickups of number 99. So I appreciate you stopping by to join me for these hockey cards today, and I'll certainly be back in the very near future with some more sports card content. Until then, take care.